Hey, what's up guys? I'm Grandmaster Shaymin and welcome back to the channel. Today we have yet another episode of Fatal 12. In the last episode, some things went down as Federico headed on a plane. We got some of his backstory. We got to learn a little bit about this new book that was found in Rinka's grandmother's place pertaining to potentially the very first, or maybe just some history about divine selection. Definitely something that you guys should go back and watch if you haven't already. But today is July 4th in the video game, America Day. So let's see what's going on. Miharu and I head to Lion House once classes have ended. Is Naomi not here today? She had something else she needed to do, so I'll fill her in on anything important tomorrow. It's pretty rare for Miharu to ask about Naomi. Divine selection requires us to fight our fate, so maybe that's changed her perspective on Naomi at some point. There wasn't much to what she said, but I can tell there was a slight difference in her attitude towards her. Today it's just the two of us. Mao's probably told her that I'm waiting a bit longer before giving my answer, but then it still feels awkward to be alone with her. You should give your answer, goddammit. 30 minutes after we arrive at the Lion House, Miharu leaves for work. We didn't discuss much, but she told me she met with Federico Monday night, and she was able to deduce his regret from what they talked about. It didn't happen right away, but everything fell into place on Tuesday night, which led her to being able to materialize the card. I didn't ask about the card's contest, because I asked her to fill me in later, on the off chance that he's gathering information on me as well. It seems he seems to have no intention of electing me according to her, but it can't hurt to be safe. I made sure to show Miharu the diary, too. Its existence took her by surprise just as much as it did for me. I told her that I'd pass any worthwhile information over to her once I'm done reading it. Just before she left, she offered her thoughts on it. That diary might just be the trump card we've been searching for. There's no basis to her claim, but I happen to agree. After she left, I opened the store up for business. I wonder what's going on with Parka. Like, if she can't do anything, I have to wonder if she's, like, cursing him out in the dream world right now. Morning, Mao. Morning. Blah. Too bad we got finals looming up over us next week. Let's try and ignore that reality. Not to brag, but I haven't studied in the slightest since midterms. Midterms weren't much of an issue for me since they happened soon after divine selection began, but the same can't be said for finals. I actually considered using my card book to cheat my way through the English exam at least, but only total losers cheat. That's right, all of you! Don't cheat. In fact, I don't have the time to study though, and when I receive a text message, you're not technically allowed to mess with your phones on campus, but I'll break that rule today. It's from my gran. I heard that finals are coming up. Forget about the store for now and focus on studying. Make sure to send me your results too. Is she psychic? What's up? Got scolded by your gran? There's no need for you to be reading my mind as well. A mere employee can't ignore their boss's orders. It's impossible to keep the store going without keeping in contact with her too. Running the store serves as a nice change of pace, so now I'm just depressed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll keep reading the diary as usual, but I guess I'll avoid failing. I can avoid failing if I use the time I would normally have on the store on studying. In the worst case scenario, I'll ignore English and use my No. Bad Rinka. Bad Rinka! How will it look when you ace an English test and then fail the next one because you have no idea what's going on? Regular life sure can be difficult. True that. Once school has ended for the day, I return home to study. I put up an announcement about how the store will be officially closed until the week after next. Seems like one of my teachers got in touch with my gran after realizing I probably wasn't studying this time around. They're aware of my circumstances at home, so I can understand why they'd get in contact. No teacher can ignore a student's poor grades. I have to keep on top of my studying since once divine selection is over as well. Otherwise, I won't be allowed to keep running the store. Oh man, my sinuses. Hey Naomi, mind if we take a break? Of course I mind. It's barely been a half hour since we started. You sure are strict today. Oh, sorry, I didn't quite realize how bad your studying habits are. it was fine during the entrance exam because I had a goal, but I can't find the same motivation for these regular tests. That's a bit surprising, actually. Then again, you didn't exactly fare well on those English questions I quizzed you on before. Naomi's doing some considerable damage to my morale today. Not like I can blame her. Her underclassman is acting pretty pathetic. Miharu has to work today. Makes me wonder if she finds the time to study, since she's also got divine selection to worry about. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. Let's just focus on yours for now. I'll let you take a break after an hour. Okay, let's do this. There's no point in avoiding it. So I decided to stick my head into some books. I used to study with Mao a lot during our first year, but normally we'd end up just chatting. In that regard, probably studying with someone like this is a pretty novel experience. I didn't want to disappoint Naomi either, so I'll focus for at least the first hour. I'll focus for an hour? Yeah. I knew you could do it. You earned a little break now. An hour and a half later, Miharu offers me entrance to the oasis known as a break. Yo, that's my entire life. What? I didn't say that. That was supposed to happen at the 1 hour mark, but I couldn't bring myself to mention it when the time came. Knowing her, she probably didn't want to interrupt me because she thought I was focused. Equally admirable and depressing considering that wasn't quite the case at all. We'd spend our break talking and snacking. The topic switches to divine selection at some point. I tell her about how Miharu has gathered all of Frederico's information about how the diary I found. After mentioning it, I head upstairs to grab it. I place it right beside my card book. It's almost like a before and after comparison. Here it is. Wow, a book over a century old. It really does look the same as your card book, too. It's entirely handmade. No wonder we couldn't find anything about the design. Do you mind if I smell it? Yo, her face right now? Huh? Just a quick whiff. Oh, do I need to put gloves on or something before touching it? Oh my god! Did she just do that? Can I smell it? I've got a thing for smelly books. I never bothered to do that, not even while reading it. You might want to treat it with a bit more care. And do you mind if I read it once you're done? You sure want to when I'm gonna talk about the contents after I'm done? That's fine. Reading something this old is thrilling in and of itself. Seeing Naomi this excited was pretty surprising. At the same time, I realized that the diary will be in peril if I leave it here. Back up to my room it goes. She couldn't keep her eyes off it as I took it away too. Guess it puts just as much she loves books into perspective. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. Back to your normal self, I see. Well, let's keep studying. That said, we settle another hour of hitting the books. Can I smell it? Nani? We study until around 8 p.m., taking infrequent but always welcome breaks. I should probably get going now. Naomi starts packing up to leave. She can't stop herself from smiling, and after learning just how much Rinka dislikes studying, it has no effect of her impression on Rinka, but seeing this side of her has been pretty nice surprise. To Naomi, the day was endless fun. What's more, a certain desire has continued to blossom within her as the days have gone by. The desire for things to continue like this, for her memories of these days to remain intact. Naomi isn't a participant in divine selection. That's why retaining her memories carries the same value as Rinka and Miharu's survival. There's no end to the burden caused by these feelings of hers. Would you like to study together tomorrow as well? I'd love to. Mao and Miharu might join us too. Rinka gives her answer with a smile. Great! And Naomi responds in kind. Yay! After exiting Lionhouse, Naomi spots a nearby man muttering to himself. Shock overcomes her the moment she sees his face. Closed for several weeks? That's not good. You know, I love Alan so much. He could totally knock on the door and break in there, but he just wants to freaking be a customer. Dude is having the hardest time just to go in and order some goddamn coffee. Closed for several weeks. Oh my goodness. It's Alan Scorpion, number 12 in Divine Selection, one of the 4 remaining participants. Naomi has seen him once before at the hospital when dealing with... Oh, yeah, she has no idea. Keiko, the hospital. Yeah. The name Kamebuchi Kaiko causes her mind to flash back to 2 desperate memories. One involves Naomi collapsing from anemia after paying a visit to the hospital. The other involves going to the hospital with Rinka to approach Keiko and learn more about her. Following this, she was attacked by Alan, who had the same goal in mind. What's more, the things she heard from Rinka are mixed into both memories. The confusion causes Naomi to collapse to her knees. She can feel her mind failing to parse which memory is real and which is fake. Noticing something amiss, Alan rushes over to her side. He seems to remember her clearly. Are you okay? You sure you don't want to try and threaten to break your neck or something? She cannot comprehend why he's showing concern for her. It might have made sense if he considered her Rinka's underclassman, but the genuine tone of worry in his voice is confounding. The Alan she is gradually beginning to remember was never this kind. This realization causes her to suffer even more. Rinka's still inside. She somehow fights through the pain to speak. Strangely enough, she doesn't feel like she should keep him away from the lion house at all costs. Around 10 minutes after Naomi leaves, someone else pops into the store, an unexpected person in an unexpected situation to boot. Get a bed and some water ready. Huh? Yo, the fuck? Dude, this is just so ridiculous, man. If you would have told me at the beginning of this visual novel that Alan would be like one of the most badass and good characters towards this part of the story, I would have thought you were absolutely wild. But here we are. Alan is carrying Naomi in one arm, cradling her neck and the other behind her knees. The surprise fades once I notice Naomi doesn't seem to be feeling right. This isn't a time to ask questions, so I get some water ready and take her upstairs to my room. The idea of having Alan come to my room isn't all that thrilling, so I ask him to wait downstairs. Once I come back down, I notice Alan standing there with a bitter look on his face. How is she? She's conscious, but it seems like a migraine. I've given her some medicine and water, so I'll check back after she rests for an hour. I made it sure to call and let her mom know. I tell her that she's sleeping here for the moment due to her not feeling well. Thanks for that, I guess, but why did you help her? I noticed her ready to collapse outside the store. I couldn't just ignore that. That's surprising in all honesty. Sorry, I thought you were a colder person. I had to help her! That's surprising. You, of all people? Man, that'd be a freaking burn to most people. Perhaps not the wisest thing to say to someone who willingly knocks out nurses and eliminates participants without a second thought. But now he's helped both me and Naomi. That's why I feel comfortable enough to speak with my thoughts. You're finally here to discuss things, aren't you? The fact that he's here means he has business with me. I expected him to come, though I didn't expect it to be this early. I assumed he'd wait for Saturday or Sunday. Oh, this is kind of a cool picture of him. I like how the framed pictures on the walls are like real. I think they're real pictures, like black and white, real photographs. You know what I'm saying? Like they put them in there. Indeed. I'm here to provide the answers you seek regarding my actions. There was a certain connection I made the night in the hospital when you stood up to me despite how little you could do. The look in your eyes resembled that of my younger sister's. A certain gentleness in expression as he admits to this. I have 5 younger siblings. 4 of them are much younger brothers. But my only sister is just around your age. Her name is Amrita. Unlike me, my siblings continue to use the names our parents gave them. My mind flashes back to something Alan mumbled during his sleep after fighting a debt. Amrita. It was his sister's name. Allow me to add that she's far better looking and smarter than you. Hey now. I love the smile that he had on his face, though. Still, you two are inherently similar. Your strength of will, your tendency to put yourself at risk by letting your emotions take over. I'm certain that my brothers will grow up to be like me. That much is obvious through both our bond as a family and as men. On the other hand, I worry for Amrita. I can only imagine how she will handle work and marriage with that personality of hers. My card book begins to shine all of a sudden. One card materializes. 12. Regret, sister's future. Who knew he was such a softie? Having seen the gentle expression he shows from time to time, I'm not very surprised at the card's contents. If anything, it proves how well I've come to understand Alan. Why would you reveal your regret to me? Because I want you to live. But it's fine. This is a decision I've made for myself. I won't give my life for free, though. I want you to shoulder the weight that accompanies it and bring an end to our story. He tells me about his past next. His mother died from illness when he was still a child, while his father was killed due to a grudge involving shady business practices. Alan soon took over his father's business connections, discarding both his name and religion in the process. Even his country's traditions soon became a nuisance to him. He built his own business from scratch and turned it into an undeniable success. The larger the company grew, the more I sacrificed. The more people I threw by the wayside. I may have changed my name, but I still took after my father when it came to making others hold a grudge against me. Poison was my cause of death, a similar assassination method to that of my father's, ironically enough. There's no change in the voice as he discusses how he was killed. My card book shines once again, materializing his cause of death card. That's awful. There are far more assassinations covered up the world over than you would expect. The same will likely happen to mine when I'm eliminated. He mentions that he had to deduce his own cause of death after it had been undone. Nobody would know that they were poisoned until after it kicked in, I guess. Your each and every action has reminded me of Amrita, from the way you will refuse to abandon those in need to how easily influenced you are. That fierce determination of yours when it came to not only your friend, but your grandmother as well. You wanted nothing but to save them, isn't that right? But I'm not your sister, Alan. I know that. However, the similarities are undeniable. There's little I can say when I don't know his sister's personality. Alan presses on, unconcerned about how perplexing the whole scenario is for me. My thoughts are likely irrelevant to him. This isn't a logical side of Alan talking. These are his emotions. I don't trust a single person in my company. That's why I left a letter stating that next in line will be one of my family. Age-wise, this would fall to Amrita, hence my worry, you see. I'm still not sure how well she will do in a position that involves dealing with the ugliest sides of people. I can't imagine someone my age being the CEO of a huge company. I thought the same at first. Meeting you has helped assuage some of my concerns. She's aware of her shortcomings and yet entirely blind to her own strength of heart, much like you. Both of you hold the ability to move others. If you doubt that even for a second, then look no further than myself as proof. People like you will have no issue finding people whom you can entrust yourselves. His gaze is locked into me as he speaks. Our eyes may be meeting, but it's not me he's looking at. He's using me as a window to see his sister. I'm not really as amazing as you're making me out to be. Besides, I don't have it in me to shoulder a responsibility like that in the first place. No matter. I've made my decision. The company itself may not fare better in her hands, and she's likely to fail along the way. That's fine, though. I trust that she'll lead it to a different direction than I did. Most importantly, I can't see anyone willing to kill her like they did me. So as long as she's able to lead a long and fulfilling life, that's all that matters. Alan, I still have my concerns, of course. But I also have hope now. Surely you understand the significance of that. His expression changes once again to one I've never seen before. Unbelievable. I never thought he'd have it in him to express such a brilliant smile. His every word and action in relation to his sister just shows how much he cares for her. I have no parents or sibling to speak of, but I can tell this is how those who do feel about them. What are you smiling for? He doesn't realize I'm smiling until he points it out. He's strict, but kind and reliable. He always seems a bit desperate, despite his intellect. Part of me is envious of Amrita for getting a brother like him. What a weird situation. No reason, I guess. Right. Who would have thought I'd ever come to think about him like this? I guess it's my fault. I never really bothered to try and understand him after what happened at the hospital the other day. He'd always been kind to me after that, at Shingetsugu's home, when he helped me stop you, and even when he saved my gran. I'm at fault for never seeing him for who he truly was. What happened to seeing how far my mindset could take me? I've already seen it. That's why I'm here now. Alan pauses briefly before posing a question. What will you do about Hibinata Miharu? His question takes me by surprise. Well, not the question itself, but the realization that he truly does understand me. There's no reason for me to hesitate, though. I only have one answer to give. I will ensure that we both survive. Good. That's what I want to hear. Amrita would no doubt say the same. How about some coffee before you go? I guarantee you'll like it. That sounds good. It is supposed to be a simple offer, but my wording may have given it more weight than I intended. I doubt Alan fails to catch it either. Shouldn't take too long. I'm going to make the best coffee I ever brewed. No words are exchanged as he drinks his coffee. It's not an awkward silence or anything. Words simply aren't needed. Our relationship doesn't end beyond our status as participants in divine selection. We're not friends, we're not lovers, we're not enemies, we're not even siblings. But that's why this works. I'm not much of a coffee fan, but I'd be lying if I said this wasn't pleasant. Thanks. He pauses, stands, and then continues. It's about time you see how she's doing. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Only you could have made the decision to live your life to the fullest while shouldering the lives of others. Anyone else would see them as a little more than a burden. I might have thought that way under normal circumstances, but those burdens have helped me realize that I'm not alone. Two people can't compromise the same body, though your belief that you're not alone despite this is part of your strength. I'm certain you haven't been alone either, right, bro? Oh, please. I've already made it clear that Amrita far outclasses you in every respect. Still, your claim is one I have to deny. It wasn't until I accepted your way of life that I was able to trust Amrita. I have a favor I'd like to ask you. Go ahead. I abandoned my roots in my past when I came to Japan. Thus, I have nothing I can leave to you. In exchange, I asked you to remember not just myself, but the miracle that led to our lives crossing. Are you going to see Amrita? That's none of your concern, Shishimai Rinka, I believe. I gave Alan an understanding nod in response. I'm certain he would have hesitated to elect him had he given me a proper answer, regardless of whatever it was. He made sure to put a wall between us. I understand why, though. It's his way of making things easier on both of us. His objective accomplished, he takes his leave. My eyes remain locked on him even as he fades into the darkness outside. It's because I know this is the last time I'll ever see Alan Scorpion in the real world. So, that'll leave just the two of them, right? Not long after he leaves, Naomi comes downstairs. Naomi, are you feeling better? I'm fine, yes. More importantly, I have to apologize to you. She pauses for pulling her eyes away from me. I heard your conversation with Alan. He's so much more kind than I thought. I wanted to thank him for helping me, but it's too late. Don't worry about that. It's all I can think to say to her. He has to have known that Miharu collected all of Frederico's cards. Now he has made sure that only you and she remain after the next round. I don't doubt it. I'm going to forget everything about him once he's eliminated, aren't I? Not just about him helping me, but his kindness as well. That's why it's my job to make sure I never forget. In that case, please tell me about him after the fact. Make me remember what I shouldn't. Of course. I wouldn't be able to handle it all if I didn't. Naomi grips my hand tightly in hers. Her memories are take a considerable blow since she's helping me despite not being a participant. Though, that makes me question why the system that rewrites people's memories is so flawed. If Parker's the one who made it, then I want to lodge a complaint. It's far too cruel. There's more to life than the beat of one's heart. It's our experiences that make us who we are. That's why changing or making people forget these experiences is just as bad as killing them. Do you mind if I stay overnight? I'm not feeling too well, honestly. Sure, I don't mind. Just make sure to tell your mom first. She's obviously faking it. Not like it matters to me, though. If anything, I don't want to spend the night alone. That's cute. I gotta wonder, though. Please tell me we're gonna answer Miharu. Saturday, 2 days later. Yesterday passed without issue. The four of us studied together after school, and I did my usual diary reading that night. I told Miharu about Alan, too. Looks like I'll be electing him, and she'll be electing Federico. On the superficial level, things have gone far smoother than they have in weeks past. There aren't any huge incidents like with you, nor was there any need to make deals with people like Odette. Things aren't so simple deep down, though. The significance of the upcoming eliminations are all greater now that we've gotten to know and see their development. There's no point in being depressed until the time comes, though. Instead, I try and brighten the mood before heading to school. When are we gonna... Okay, anyway. Upon my arrival, Mao greets me with an eerie grin. Morning! Guess what day today is? July 7th. So, oh, Tanabata. Hey! It's also... Wait. July 7th. Isn't that also the twins' birthdays from Lucky Star? Kagami and Tsukasa? Right? They're born on Tanabata and Twin Tail Day, right? Wasn't it the 7th or was it the 9th? I swear it was the 7th. It was Ponytail Day. And it was the twins' birthday. I swear. Anyway. Bingo! They've set some bamboo over in the cafeteria. Let's go hang our wishes. It's a bit embarrassing, but okay. I'm surprised you care, though. Normally, you're not interested in stuff going on at school. Sometimes I feel like it, you know. You're coming too, Miharu. I'll write one if Ringo does. Alright, now to rope Naureen in as well. There must have been a Tanabata feature on television or something. That aside, it's relieving to see Mao acting like this. Well, it'd probably be a relief if she was in her post-all-nighter mode as well. It's just a relief to see Mao acting normal. Hey, the hallway. Once we've written and hung up our wishes, we start to make our way to class. The faculty set bamboo in the cafeteria that's shared between our and the college's campuses, just like Mao said. A surprising number of people are participating, which leads me to taking a peek at some wishes. Most are relationship related. So what did you all write? What happened to keeping it a secret? And we make a point to keep what we've written to ourselves. For a simple reason too. We're shy. Let me make one thing clear, Naomi. You might not have meant to see what I wrote, but you did nonetheless. I don't need to explain what will happen if you tell anyone, do I? I'm sorry, my lips are sealed. Oh ho, caught a glimpse, did you? It's a loyal servant's duty to tell their queen everything you know. Sorry, I can't, no matter what. Miharu gives Naomi an exaggerated glare before transitioning into a smile. As for me, I guess there's no point in reminding myself of something I wrote. Just a few more nights of sleep and it'll finally be summer vacation. I wouldn't say a few when it's over a week away, but sure. You haven't forgotten about our promise to see fireworks, right? Rennie? Should be around this time next month. I haven't. Then let's make sure the four of us go together. There's a hint of gravity in her words. It's not often she sounds like that, but it leaves the rest of us speechless. Naomi ends up breaking the silence. Yeah, I love fireworks. I'm really excited. Miharu and I nod in agreement. Alright, now he's in charge of getting up early and grabbing us a spot then. I'll do what I can. We're going there together for sure. If Rinka said so, then it's the truth. My reluctance to say it in the first place is why I forced myself to make that claim. It's a much more personal wish than I wrote earlier, but also a more earnest one. Once the day is over, I get ready for bed. As for the diary, I'm almost done with it in terms of pages. Tomorrow's session will be my last. I couldn't find a second volume after looking around, so tomorrow marks the last look into the lives of Linda and Diana. When I think about all that, I recalled what we talked about earlier on the afternoon. Fireworks, huh? I talked to Miharu about it before, back when we were alone at the theme park, but when I was the only one who didn't know anything about divine selection. Oh no, a flood of memories come back to me all at once. I must be tired. I feel my eyes beginning to water up as my emotions involuntarily pour out. I want to go. I want to go with everyone. My thoughts turned into screams. Then I remember that it's the middle of the night, so I end up smothering my face in a pillow. Ellipses exclamation mark! It helps to muffle my screams. It's all so sudden. The fear of losing what I have at the moment has just hit me out of nowhere. I don't want everything up until now to be undone. I fall asleep at some point, unable to sort out my emotions. I feel like that's pretty fair. Federico returns to Japan from India on Sunday morning. Damn it, I can't believe I only managed to find out his cause of death. Once in India, he visited both Alan's company and his family. According to his company, Alan was out on private business that wasn't to divulge to anyone. As a result, he kept all contact with the company to a minimum. In exchange, the vice president was in charge of all important decisions for the time being. This led to Federico's discovery of an anti-Alan faction within his said company. Not to mention their connection to a certain competing company. Putting two and two together with what Miharu had told him, he was able to deduce the background between Alan's death and materialize the card. The biggest issue was learning his regret, since no one there had any valuable information pertaining to it. His visit to Alan's home proved to be entirely meaningless too. Never expected to come across someone like her. So that's his sister. Yo, she is so cute. I'm not gonna lie. The brown eyes and the really long brown hair, like she is... A girl there realized what Federico was up to. Her name was Amrita. It's interesting. For some reason, when I see her face, it does remind me a little bit of Rinka in terms of her tenacity. Their surnames might be different, but she was apparently Alan's sister. No one showed more reservation in telling Federico to leave the moment she saw him. Federico knew that Alan had plenty of enemies. He never would have been poisoned if that weren't the case. What's more, those enemies of his would visit his home in order to uncover any potential weaknesses. Federico used this knowledge in an attempt to threaten her. It was to no avail, however. She did nothing but glare at him in response. Federico realized right then and there that she was a stranger to the concept of fear. She was undoubtedly aware of her brother's bad side, his merciless attitudes towards people, his vaulting of skill and competence above all else, and how many had lost their jobs due to both of those traits. Even then, she was wise enough to prevent his potential enemies from learning anything about him. Her situation was full of contradictions, and yet she stood resolute before Federico and his threats. Federico himself likely would have resorted to a number of horrible means to force information out of her back in his mafia days, but this time he gave in. The lack of both any backing of the organization and confidence that she knew anything about his regret caused him to do so. More importantly, the look in her eyes made it clear she wouldn't budge through normal means. Man, who did that girl remind me of? Not Odette, that's for sure. There was something familiar about that look. Federico's inability to remember who it reminded him of bothered him. Well, whatever. She may have been a looker, but she's just a kid. Got to admit, I don't see her faring too well in the future with a personality like that. Apart from that, the fact remained that Federico was unable to obtain Alan's regret. He gave himself a set time to return to Japan for two reasons. One was to prevent himself from losing his resolve, and the other was to ensure he had enough time for one last-ditch effort. The only thing left for him to do at this point was to find and question Alan directly. Finding that asshole is the main issue. The train rocks as he tries to discern Alan's location. I guess I fell asleep at some point. Waking up only to remember my outburst last night feels anything but good. On the bright side, it proves how much of a toll this whole thing has taken on me. I open a window and take a deep breath of fresh air to collect myself. Aw, man, I guess it makes sense for me to go out like this. Federico chalks up his current condition as one befitting of a loser like himself. He's unable to get in touch with Alan now that Scale's gone. He visited a number of places in the hopes of finding him, but to no avail. He wasn't even at the warehouse where he met Odette and that other girl. In the end, he finds himself at a national park in Shinjuku, the final destination. He doesn't know why the park has such a fancy name, but he doesn't care. What he does care about is the fact that Alan's not there either. Just means our fates aren't linked. That even just to say such a thing makes me sick. His pace may seem leisurely, but he spent the day running around on foot. Time simply won't allow him to slow down. He's running so hard he's gotten covered in sweat despite his level of fitness. He has done all he can to triumph over Alan. It's on a level of effort he'd long forgotten. That's why it feels an odd sense of satisfaction, despite having nothing to show for it. Man, I might as well grab some booze and drink until I pass out. His decision made, he walks off into the night on his final day. 1 hour later, Federico returns to an area close by. In doing so, he notices a certain cafe. Guess I wouldn't mind getting some coffee first. He hasn't had any espresso during his whole trip. It won't quite match the taste of what he's used to back home, but he finds himself wanting some after so long. The lights are still on, leading him to believe the shop's still open. Thus, he struts over to its entrance. After day turns to night, I sit down at my usual table with the diary. He's gonna walk in on the diary, goddammit. I've got some coffee with me as well, but I'm being extra careful not to spill it on the book. I did spend the whole day studying thanks to having to take care of some chores, but hey, it's nice to finally sit down and relax. I don't get to do that often these days. At first I was reading through the diary to find information related to divine selection, but somewhere along the way I found myself simply enjoying it. I can see why Naomi loves to read so much now. Okay, after taking a sip of coffee, I open up to the page I have bookmarked. Soon after, I hear someone shouting outside the store. The hell, why is it closed with the lights still on? Way to ruin my impression of the place. The door is closed, but I can hear them loud and clear. What's more, the voice sounds oddly familiar. I close the diary and duck behind the counter to better scout what's going on. Standing outside is none other than Federico Camerati. Why is he here? Didn't he settle things with his discussion with Miharu? I prepare myself for the worst, though something feels off. He isn't addressing me directly now that I think about it. In fact, it's safe to assume he's here by coincidence, judging by what he said. He's just upset that the store's closed. There's no need to overthink things in this current situation. What the? You! Seems like he's noticed me. I bet he never expected me to be running the cafe, much less the fact that I'm here trying to read a book. He stands there and stares at me, mouth agape. I decide not to say anything to shatter his silence. Shortly after, he grins ear to ear before erupting in laughter. The way he's laughing, it sounds familiar. It's a familiar sound. Federico can't hide his surprise at this turn of events. Inside the cafe he's about to visit stands none other than Shishimai Rinka, the first time they have met one-on-one in the real world. Fate must be up to something for this to happen on this day. Her presence within the closed cafe means she works there, but Federico is more inclined to believe that she lives inside. That doesn't matter to him, though. Instead, he finds himself excited about a certain revelation. That's what she reminded me of. Rinka is staring Federico down, clearly wary of him. The look in her eyes brings someone else to mind. Amrita, Alan's sister. They both share the same resolute gaze. He always wondered why Alan seemed concerned with Rinka, but he figured it had nothing to do with his regret. But he was wrong. This chance discovery seals the deal for him. Alan's regret is related to her. Aha! His excitement turns into a sense of joy he has never experienced before. He has won! At the last minute, he finally possesses all of Alan's cards. he has succeeded in outdoing someone he wants to beat. Cheers to you, kid. Federico then takes his leave without bothering to enter the lion house. Rinka stands there alone and puzzled over what just happened. He's just jumping up and down. What? What was that all about? Federico randomly decided to wander off after I gave him the silent stare. I'm not even sure what he wanted. He looked incredibly happy for some reason though. That was sure frightening, in more ways than one. I'm not sure why, but there was something unsettling about the way his expression switched from anger to surprise, then to joy. It didn't seem like he was rejoicing over obtaining my information at the very least. Maybe I'll take a break from raiding for today. Perhaps it's for the best, since he might try to come back. Sucks when I'm almost done with it, but oh well. After returning to my bedroom, I prepared to focus myself for tonight's election. Alright, so that's going to be about all the time we have for this episode, so make sure you click that thumbs up button down below for me, because you already know your support is greatly appreciated. Leave a comment in the comment section, let me know your thoughts on the series thus far, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already for future content, and we'll see you all in the next episode.